The cell is the building block for all of life we know today. To start off, I'd like to start with the cell theory. The cell theory states three major points of the cell. The first is all living things are composed of cells. The second is cells are the basic units of structure and function in living things. And the third is new cells are produced from existing cells. And now talking about organelles, we'll go straight to the nucleus. In the center of the nucleus is the nucleus, which contains all the DNA information of the cell. It contains all of its DNA in chromosomes, which are long strands of DNA. Now we'll move outside to the nucleus, which produces the protein and has chromatin in it, which is the DNA that's bound to protein. Also, it produces ribosomes, which go outside of the cell and have produced protein for all of the cell outside. These ribosomes seep out through the nuclear envelope, which is nuclear pores, which lets out and gives in things the nucleus needs and needs to let out. Next, we'll be moving to the endoplasmic reticulum, also called ER. There are two types of ERs. The first is rough, and the second is smooth. Rough gets its name because under a microscope it has a grainy texture, which is because of the bound ribosomes that are stuck to it. Its job is to assemble and modify proteins throughout the cell, and help the cell membrane. The smooth ER, on the other hand, has a different task, as it performs specialized tasks, which is the synthesis of lipids, and also gives out toxins to fight off bad bacteria that the cell might have. Next, we'll be moving to vacuoles, which are a cell membrane sac that store vital nutrients to the cell's health. Some of these are water, salts, proteins, and carbohydrates. The one thing about vacuoles that is characteristic to a plant cell is that they're very big and take up much space. And they also control the moisture within the cell to make sure the plant is getting its proper nutrients and just keeps on living in general. Now we will be moving to the cell wall and cell membrane. One of the biggest differences you can see between animal and plant cell is that a plant cell has a cell wall and not just a cell membrane. The cell wall is responsible for the plant to bond to other cells to create great structures like bark or leaves. Though it still needs a cell membrane to let out waste and take in nutrients from the outside environment. Without the cell wall or cell membrane, the cell would literally just fall apart and none of the organelles could be tamed. Next we'll be moving to chloroplast. This is a big difference between animal and plant cells, as chloroplast is not in animal cells. The reason for this is chloroplast is responsible for photosynthesis within the plant. This is the process where light is turned into energy-rich food, mostly in the form of glucose and sugars, to create energy within the cell. Then this energy is transported to the mitochondria, which creates furthermore energy for the cell to perform its daily functions. Now we'll be moving to the mitochondria. The mitochondria, I guess you could say, is the powerhouse or generator for all the cell's energy. The mitochondria creates this energy from food from the cell, which is taken in this case, in a plant cell, from the chloroplast. And then this energy is turned into things that can use the power, growth, development, and movement of the cell. Mitochondria is protected in two membranes. The inner membrane, which is scrambled or tangled within the outer membrane, which is the main protector of the mitochondria. Now we'll be moving to the Golgi apparatus, which is a vital organelle to the cell's life. Enzymes in the Golgi apparatus attach carbohydrates and lipids to the protein, which is a vital part of the protein process. This protein is carried through ribosomes, which create the protein within the cell. Next to the Golgi apparatus are vesiles. These carry waste and other unwanted material outside the cell membrane, or bring wanted materials inside of it. Next we'll be moving to the microtubules and microfilaments. Microtubules are hollow-tubes of protein, which are very small, around 25 nanometers in diameter. They maintain cell shape and also serve as the cell track for the cell. Also, they help separate chromosomes within the cell. On the other hand, microfilaments are the same, but actually smaller, 7 nanometers in diameter, and they also help the cell keep its structure. And all these organelles are held up by cytoplasm, which is the thing that holds up every part of the cell and keeps it from falling apart. Without this, there would be no cell and there would be no life. Now we'll be moving to the cell membrane, which I talked about before, but in this we'll be going way more in depth. To start off, there's two types of transport between the cell membrane. The first is active transport, which uses ATP. In this, there has to be energy to get things in and out of the cell membrane. In this, things go from low concentration to high concentration. The other type of transport is passive transport, where there is no energy used, and things go from high concentration to low concentration. Some examples of this are osmosis and diffusion. The cell membrane is held together by lipids. There are two lipids in every membrane. The reason they stay together is one side of them are attracted to water and the other side is unattracted. And because of this, the unattracted sides fuse together while the sides attracted to water stay on the outside to protect the inside of the cell membrane. Many large molecules are transported through protein channels. These protein channels are vital for the cell as they take in and take out many needed and unwanted materials for the cell. These protein channels are responsible for passive and active transport. For passive transportation, they can be used where the glucose molecules, for example, or any other molecule can just go straight through the protein channel. But for instance, in active transport, they have to go into it, it gets closed in, and then comes out on the other side of the cell. So you see, the cell is actually a really interesting thing, and now you can really find out what you're made of. And maybe in the future teach somebody else about this great knowledge.